Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining our Sunday morning short Bhagavad Gita class. So seeing them in the order of appearance is Suruchi Soni Mataji, and we also have Suyash Bhogwal Prabhu and Garima Mataji. And joined us on Facebook is Vidyavadhu Devi Dasi Mataji, Bhakta Max Gray Prabhu, Neha Singh Mataji, Atulya Radhika Mataji, and Atulya, sorry, not Achita, sorry, I always have trouble translating that name to the spiritual name. And then Priti Radhika Devi Dasi is also watching us here. Hare Krishna. To all of you, please accept my most humble obeisances, all glories to Shri Radha. So how are you all doing today?
Good, Mataji. Good, Mataji.
Very good, very good. So are we ready to get started on the Vigyapti prayers? And are you ready, Suyash Prabhu?
Mataji, you want me to share or you want to share?
I can share also. Either ways is fine. Okay.
Yeah, can you share Vigyapti Panchaka? That way I'll keep the reading order ready.
I think that's a good way to do that. Okay. So Vigyapti Panchaka prayers are here in my preview. And where are you, my dear? Vigyapti Panchaka prayers. Okay. I don't want Microsoft Word. I don't want this. I don't want this. Okay. I have to stop. My preview. I think I, by mistake, closed my preview window. I had it open and ready. This is material world, right? Okay, closed the wrong window. And I see a lot of effulgence outside Priyanka's house. So I think Krishna is there in that area today. Hare Krishna. So Vigyapti Panchaka prayers coming up here. And if you can confirm that you can see them now. And as soon as I begin sharing them with you, and here they are. Okay. And Chaitanya Priya Mataji has also joined us on Facebook. Okay, can you see? Can you see? Can somebody confirm? Unmute yourself and confirm.
Yes, Mataji.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Matsamo nasti papatma na paradhi cha kaschana parihare pilajame kim bhuve purushottama yuvatinam yatha yuni yunam cha yuvato yatha manobe ramate tadvan manobe ramatam tvahi Bhumau skalitapadanam bhumirevavalambanam Tvai jata paradhanam Tvameva sharanam prabhu Govinda vallabhe radhe Prarthaye tvamaham sada Twadiyam niti janatu Govindo mam tvaya saha Radhe Vrindavanadhishe Karunamritavahini Kripaya Nij Patabja Dasyam Mahyam Pradiyatam. Okay, so we have the reading order, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Suruchi Mataji, Suyash, Kariva Mataji, Priyanka Mataji, Shraddha Mataji.
Awesome. And is it good enough? Reading? Is it a good enough font to read, to be able to read?
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Okay, good. So let's get going on this.
Can you scroll up, Mataji?
Oh, okay. All right, sorry. Yeah, I thought I did. My mistake. Okay.
Mataji, please bring it to the middle of the screen.
All right, here it comes.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
O Purushottama, no sinner or offender is as bad as I am. How can I describe my shame? Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in young men, and minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone.
I'm scrolling it up here.
Just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter for those who have offended you.
O Srimati Radharani, beloved of Lord Govinda, this is my request. May you and Lord Govinda consider me one of your assistants.
O Srimati Radharani, O Queen of Vrindavan, you are a river flowing with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet.
All righty, reflection time. Please share your reflections.
Tvameva Sharanam Prabhu.
Tameva Sharanam Prabhu. Very nice.
This is my request. May you and Lord Govinda please consider me one of your servants.
Wow. Yeah, so you see, even the service is not our right. Service, our good fortune to do service to the Lordships comes as a mercy from the Lordship itself. Yes. What's more?
Karunamrita Vahini.
Karunamrita Vahini. Priyanka is on a roll today.
Dasyam Mahyam Pradiyata.
Dasyam Mahyam Pradiyatam. And you all are telling me all these from your memory, right?
Yeah.
Memorize this, see? Okay, very good. Yeah.
No sinner or offender is as bad as I am.
Yes, yes, that's a good mood to get started on the day. What else? Anything else strikes your mind? Anybody else? Varshana Mataji, then Pranam. Okay, and let's see. Tome Ma Sharanam Prabhu. And
Radha.
go ahead, Sonia.
Vallabhe.
Radha.
Radha Vallabhe.
Govinda Vallabhe.
Vallabhe Radhe.
Yeah, she's a peer.
Radha Karunamrit Vahini.
Karunavrita Mahini. There you go. And your sentiments are being echoed from by Vidyavadhu Dasi in India. Karunamriti Vahini, Kripya Nijapa Jabja, Dasyam Mahiyam Pradiyatam. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet. Awesome. Okay. I know it takes a lot of efforts for Vidyavadhu to type so much. She's not into typing. Yeah. Must be really excited about that verse. Yeah. Yeah. Good. So what should you do? Yeah.
Reading, Chad.
Did you read now?
I have a modified reading order, Mataji.
See, this material world is always changing, Prabhu. So is your reading list. Okay, tell me the new one.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam.
Suruchi Mataji, Suyash, Garima Mataji, Priyanka Mataji, Varshana Mataji, and Shraddha Mataji.
All right, so I go after Varshana Mataji. Okay.
So now it's the turn of Varshana Mataji.
Varshana Mataji. Please give us the honors.
Contents of Gita summarized. Text 1. Sanjay said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. Hare Krishna.
Oh, son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship?
It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gains, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Rashtra, we should not care to live, yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield.
Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven.
Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the griefs.
Text 11. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in future shall any of us cease to be.
Text 13. Prabhuji, kindly scroll it up. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Text 14. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, ocean of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both.
That which pervades the entire body should know
You should know.
to you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata.
Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? A person puts on new garments, giving up old ones. The soul similarly accepts new material body, giving up the old and useless one.
Text 23. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burnt by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same.
It is said that the soul is invisible. Prabhuji, text 25, no?
Yes.
Hare Krishna?
Yes.
Yeah. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. 26. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed. Hare Krishna.
The one who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after that one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation?
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets.
If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death.
Text 35. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you?
I think we have a connection problem there, right? Can you hear?
No, Mataji, I can't hear.
Okay. I think Vaishana Mataji is, oh, that she dropped off. See?
Okay.
So she can comment and I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Right, so 37, right?
Yes.
O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing, you shall never incur sin. So, Varshana Mataji has joined back again. Mataji, you're on mute.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Text 2.9.
Yeah, give us the Sanskrit.
Sanjay Rishikesham Hare Krishna.
Okay. Maybe we'll have to do it. Next person can do it also. We couldn't hear Varshana Mataji.
Sanjaya Vacha Evam Uktava Rishikesam Gurakesha Parantapaha Nayotsya Iti Govindam Uktava Tusnim Bhuvaha.
Yeah. Babhuvaha. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah, it's a tongue
Sanjay
twister.
Vacha. Sanjaya said, Evam, thus, Uktva, speaking, Rishikesham, unto Krishna, the master of the senses, Gudakeshaha, Arjuna, the master of curbing ignorance, Param Tapaha, the chastiser of the enemies, Nayotsye, I shall not fight, Iti, thus, Govindam, unto Krishna, the giver of pleasure to the senses, Uktva, saying, Tushnim, silent, Babhuva, became, Ha, certainly. Gariba Mataji.
Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent.
Purport. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that um, Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapaha. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end.
To the end. Haribol. Okay, reflection time. And before we go for the reflections there was one more reflection from Achyuta Radhe, and which was on the Vigyapti Panchaka. So she says, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone, which is kind of like a good segue here into this verse, because Arjuna up till now has just been thinking about his own pleasure, right? And as we go through the verses and chapters of Bhagavad Gita, we will know that our ultimate aim is to give pleasure to Krishna's senses there. Okay. Yeah. So please continue, and welcome Mathura Prasad Prabhu for joining us from Canada. All right. So reflections, and more reflections or questions. We did a little bit of this earlier, right? This verse, we covered
Yes.
it, right?
Yes,
The first
Mataji.
line, I think we covered that. And Varshana Mataji, you speaking on mute.
Yes, Mataji, the last part of the purport, this indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end.
Yeah. So
His
now
joy would be frustrated. Mataji, why?
Dhritarashtra's joy will be frustrated because Dhritarashtra was very joyful at the end of first chapter when Sanjay is narrating to him that Arjuna has gone to the back of the chariot and he is not fighting, right? And then Sanjay, continuing to narrate that he's saying, I will not fight. And then even after he has surrendered, he's still continuing on that how can I kill my gurus and my grandfather. So Dhritarashtra says, that's very nice. Now that no fight even, so that risk of my kids dying in the fight is also gone away. Because if Arjuna steps back, then there won't be any fight. So that's why. So so Sanjay, before he can step in, before Dhritarashtra can even start to enjoy that, he's just saying, all right, don't think like that, don't think like that. And that is why you see this is a very nice point that you bring up, because you see this is Sanjay is narrating. Sanjay is speaking, right? So Sanjay is speaking, and look at the choice of words, the choice of names that he uses for Krishna, right? And the choice of names that he uses for Arjuna. Parantapa. What is the meaning of Parantapa?
Chastisers
of
enemy.
Yeah, one who chastises the enemy.
Enemies.
Yeah. So then, his name is Chastise of Enemies. So even if he's saying that he won't fight the war, something's going to happen and he will ultimately fight the war. It's going to happen like that. Right?
Thank you.
Mataji, Dhritarashtra, is he in mode of ignorance or in mode of passion? Because how much he is entangled in that putra moha, although he can see that how Arjun is not fighting, is not wanting.
I think Zoom is having some problems today, right? We're not able to hear.
Yes.
So I think if I grab the essence of the question, Priyanka Mati was asking that in which mode of material nature is Dhritarashtra? Is he in the mode of passion or is he in the mode of ignorance, right? And even if you take a few steps back from there, actually Dhritarashtra used to be in the mode of goodness also. He was very affectionate towards the sons of Pandu. And he used to feel sorry also for them that they had lost their father. But then you see slowly this thing creeped up inside him. And so first the few thoughts will come, and that's how the mind does. You'll plant a few thoughts in your mind, and then you you elaborate more on them, you contemplate more on them, and then it just expands and expands and expands. And that's why they say manorathena sthit. You sit on the chariot of your mind and it'll take you here and there. So from slowly, or the thought was planting till it became like that he became so determined, right? Dhrida vrata, right? Dhrida. Now that Dhritarashtra is coming, the word Dhritarashtra, and Soni, that's how you pronounce it. Dhritarashtra is he's determined for what? Rashtra. He's very determined to get the kingdom, like that. So slowly he then goes into from the mode of goodness, he's now falling into passion, right? And also remember that there is no purity in this material world. Even the modes of material nature are not pure. They get mixed with each other, right? So it will be difficult for us to say that which mode exactly is Dhritarashtra in, because one would say that Dhritarashtra is in the mode of passion. You're going to do so many things, but in the beginning it says that Dhritarashtra is not only blind. In the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada explains, not only was he blind, physically blind, but he was also blind in any spiritual knowledge at all, right? So all these scheming and planning with which the Kauravas used to do, the sons like Dhritarashtra, Shakuni Mama, Dushashan, Karn. Karn is of course not a Kaurava, but they used to plan all these things together, and Dhritarashtra knew about it. They would tell him that we're going to do this, we're going to burn them in the Lakshya Graha and things like that. But he's not saying anything. So he's in ignorance, right? In that situation. So he's oscillating, between passion and will, doesn't know anything. Yeah. More reflections and questions.
I like Mataji Krishna's name. They are all revolving around senses and enemies. And enemies are given such importance like Madhu Demon, Rishikesha, Govinda, killer of senses, killer of enemies, and senses Goswami. So senses are really biggest enemy.
Yeah, very nice. This biggest enemy, and then we don't have to take, we don't have to be disheartened because you can control the senses if you take Rishikesh on your side, right? If Krishna is on side, he's Rishikesh, he's a control of the senses, so he will help you. He'll help you. You just have to surrender. That's why our prayers are saying that surrender, surrender, surrender. I want to surrender to you, Krishna, because we know the good benefits we're going to get out of that. And yes, our senses, kamadhinam kathina kathita palita durnideshas tetam jata maina karuna natripa no prashanti. Tesham janta, these senses, they give me no karuna. They have no mercy at all. They'll make you get up in the middle of the night and fulfill your desires like that. They are horrible. They are our worst enemies. The same senses can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Then they become transcendentalized and they become your friend. And 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says that your mind is your enemy, but your mind can also become your friend. And when a mind that creates thoughts of Krishna and thoughts of devotional service is indeed your friend. And that transition happens, right? If you continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare.
Okay, so what else did you like about that verse? And if Suresh, we can quickly bring up the verse and we can have a look at the last line of the verse there.
So Krishna, when he surrendered, everyone knows that he will be winning, and Dishtat also was said that he will win the battle.
Yeah, why? Dharam Kshetre, Kurukshetre. See where the battle is happening. Yeah, results are already out. It's like we are playing on the home ground, right? When you're playing on the team that plays on the home ground has chances of him winning, right? And Dharam Kshetra is the home ground of the Pandavas, right? They are going to win there, right? What else? Well, Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu is watching us, so this means it's even more auspicious now. The assembly has become even more auspicious now. Danvat Pranam Prabhu. And then also Vidyavadhu Mataji is saying that what stuck to her mind is that Arjuna has agreed to listen to Rishikesh, right? And that's an important point. So Suresh Prabhu, if you can give us the second line, and thank you so much Vidyavadhu Mataji for bringing that in. But Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. So this part is about silence, right? So it's interesting that when you are looking at when we are talking about when you look at look at the world around us, we do come across things like there was a movie called Sound of Music. Okay, so a very very famous music when I was growing up. It had famous saregama in the English song, do re mi fa do, a deer, a female deer, like that. So that was from Sound of Music. So well, that's fine. If there's music, one can understand that there is some sound over there. But then there was also a very famous album which was The Sound of Silence. Isn't that interesting? That the sound of silence, what kind of a sound becomes, that we are going silent. But then here Arjuna has become silent. And it's very interesting that Prabhupada in one of the lectures says such an interesting thing. And which is going back again to how Arjuna is behaving and how things are happening with Arjuna. He's talking lots of big words. And as soon as Krishna starts to speak, Krishna immediately says, "From where has all this dirt come into your mind?" Like, oh my goodness, I was talking about compassion for the Kauravas and this and that, and Krishna has one swipe. He's saying it's all dirt. And not only that, he calls him a klabya. Don't go into impotency and things like that. And later on in Bhagavad Gita, he will say, "Ashochayan anavashochastvam pragyavadam sabhashate." They're trying to speak learned words, but they have no meaning at all. So Krishna will clearly declare that Arjuna, you are actually a fool. right? And somewhere in some corner of the heart, Arjuna is actually understanding that also, that, I'm doing all that, but there's something not really right here. And Prabhupada said, and this is very interesting, Prabhupada said that when you can understand that you are a fool, look at that play of words. When you can understand that you are a fool, that means that you are a little intelligent, because you can detect your own foolishness. Isn't it interesting? That to understand that you are a fool, also you require a little bit of intelligence. So Arjuna is not a fool per se like that. He has got intelligence to realize that I'm in a soup over here and I need some help. To know that when to reach out for help is also a sign of intelligence. So Arjuna is, saying, and he felt silent. So here, silence is important. And yesterday, Kathy Matij had pointed out that the silence just doesn't mean the silence of your mouth, but it also means silence of the mind. And that is why in Bhagavad Gita, silence is described as not an austerity of the mouth. It is described in later chapters as an austerity of the mind. Silence,
Mind.
right? So if you bring up verse 17.16, easy to understand, 17.16, right? And let's see what the translation of the verse, somebody can read. Who was supposed to read? We can start again.
And
Maybe.
satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind.
Yeah, continue reading the purport, please.
To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be attained only by taking the mind away from the thoughts of sense enjoyment. Next one can read.
The more we
The
think
more
of
we
sense.
think of sense, the
Yeah,
more we
please
think
go ahead. Hmm.
the more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification. And so there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. The best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Silence means that one is always thinking of self realization.
See, isn't that powerful?
Yeah.
Real silence is that your mind is not, you're not just completely shut off the mind, because it cannot shut down. It's a factory that you cannot shut down, even during the coronavirus where more factories are shut down, right? It has to produce something. And the real silence he is saying is that your mind is always thinking of self-realization. Okay, please continue.
The person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in his dealings and thereby purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity in material activities.
Mental.
Mental.
Yeah, austerity,
Oh,
mental activities.
mental activities,
Mental
yeah.
activities, yeah, right? So this is, yeah, so that is why it is, well, now, and as again, Kathy Mataji was saying, and we're also reading here, that we're talking about austerity of the mind, because whether you're stressed or whether you're without stress, if you're looking from outside, is it stress? But the mind is always, saying something, saying something, saying something. And there's a lot of turmoil that is within us. And sometimes if you speak, then it offers a nice distraction from you, from that churning that is going on in your mind, that, okay, I have let it out, let it out. But you should not be, thoughtless in letting things out which are there in your mind. And that's why Maun, is an austerity not of the mind, of the mouth, but it is an austerity of the mind, right? But then, so here Arjuna had fallen silent, and we are saying that, you should be silent. But then speech also has its own utility. One has to strike a balance. And there's a very nice verse that I grew up, I'm forgetting whether it was Rahim or Kabir, and he used to say that Atika bhala na bolna, atiki bhali na chup, atika bhala na barasna, atiki bhali na dhup. So he's talking about maintaining a balance, that it's not good to have too much of the sun, it's not good to have too much of the rain. It's not good to be completely silent, too much silence or too much of speaking. Both of them are not good. So you have to maintain a balance. Bhagavad Gita also in the 6th chapter talks about yukta ahara viharasya, right? You should be balanced in your sleeping, you should be balanced in your eating, and so on and so forth, right? So there is a balance that has to be struck between, between the two. And we see that speech is very powerful. After all, I'm speaking right now, right? And it is, it's one of the means of communication and a very essential means for communicating it. And whenever there has been, if you go back and look at the history, you'll always find that people have galvanized and have motivated people through their speech. Can you give me examples of some really motivating speeches that you had?
Martin Luther King,
Martin
Nelson
Luther King.
Mandela.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela, right? Hitler, yeah, Sardar Patel, Bhas Chandra Bose, right? These are men who galvanize people by giving fantastic speeches like that, right? So then one might just think that, okay, so we are just saying here Arjuna has kept quiet, but then those people were all talking, and that was also good as well. So maybe then, one might just think that speaking is something, like if maintaining silence is something that you use for your own transformation or for your own benefit, like that, right? And then speaking, on the other hand, is something that you use to transform the society. Maybe speaking is for others, right? And then silence is for me, like that, right? But then we then look at our shastras, and then we look at the sutras that have been given. And one of the sutras towards the end of the Vedanta Sutra says anavritti shabdat. Anavritti shabdat basically means liberation by sound. So then, how do we resolve this thing, right? So you're saying that for individuals, it's good to be silent. We see Arjuna, but for society as a whole, it's good to be speaking. And then, but it's saying of anavarti, but you get liberation by sound. So how do I understand this part of our scriptures, right? And what is Arjuna's behavior like that, right? So before we go into analyzing that, let us just see that how we are pleasure seekers, right? So we are all trying to find pleasures, and senses are there, right? So then how we are always trying to find happiness here and there, here and there, here and there. And so if I were to plot our happiness, our happiness and what we get through our quest of happiness via, material activities, and which would of course mean material speech, right? For example, if you want to enjoy this material world by purchasing some beautiful clothes, then of course you'll be talking to people, asking them about who's the best tailor, which are the best outlets, where is there a sale to purchase clothes and things like that. So all this is material sound, right? So if I'm going to plot that on an x-axis like that, so material, if you are saying that, okay, I'm not going to do anything, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to do something. That's what we all do. So if I'm going to do some material activity, and of course, which will involve some material speech, then what it happens to us is that it always brings us anxiety, always brings us misery. When you are doing that material activity with the purpose of satisfying yourself, right? Okay, so then the next possible thing to do is that I'm saying, so this goes on the negative side of your x-axis. Now I'm going to say that I am, okay, material activity bad. Let me stop doing any material activity. Okay, that is fine. You just sit there, not doing anything, but no good result is going to come out of that. Because like Arjuna went to the back of the chariot and put his Gandhi and said, I will not do anything. So that is inactivity on the material plane. So whenever you are not doing any material activity, it is fine that it won't give you anxiety and misery, but it will also not revive, and it will not revive the most important thing that you have to remember, and that is that you are the soul. Your spiritual memory has to come back. So you're kind of like on a zero. So material activity gives you anxiety and stress, and not doing any material activity just brings you to a zero, will not bring you happiness at all, right? And then you start, to the spiritual activity, and spiritual activity starts with, sound. And it is this spiritual sound that will revive your memory, and that's the kind of sound that will give you the ultimate happiness, like that, right? So now we have to understand that when we were doing algebra and we were asked to plot points on a line, sometimes we would make mistake, or does it go on the negative side, which was material activity, is it on the positive side? So sometimes, these kind of knowledges, like spiritual knowledge and material knowledge, people can mistake like that. Is this the right, is this the right, is this spiritual thing, do I have to do that, right? But then you have to get a spiritual master who can explain those things to you, and also through suitable practice you will come to know that, right? For example, there is a small child, right? And what does a small child do? It puts everything in the mouth. So you give him a $500 bill, he'll put it in the mouth. You give him a chocolate wrapper, he will put it in the mouth, right? But as the child grows and gets some knowledge, he learns now how to distinguish between these two pieces of paper, like that, right? So we have to understand, through scriptures, through the help of a spiritual master, and listen. So we all keep that in mind, that when you are when you are indulging and you're coming across a material sound, it's going to agitate your mind. Spiritual sound, on the other hand, is going to pacify it. Material sound will aggravate, and it will perpetuate your amnesia, your forgetfulness that you are a spiritual being. Material sound is make you forget it. Spiritual sound, on the other hand, will lessen your forgetfulness, and ultimately it will completely eradicate that for you. There are differences between that. And of course, material sound, we all know, entangles us very badly. Look at Dhritarashtra, completely entangled. And spiritual sound, on the other hand, is going to, it always liberates us, and we will see how, wow, spiritual sound is going to have the effect, right? And so talking about uh, what exactly is spiritual sound then, right? We talk about material sound. What is spiritual sound? And we have to remember that it's not just our shastras which are saying that and glorifying spiritual sound. Even in the Bible, you see that they say that, what do they say? First, there was the word. What is the meaning of word? Word is sound, right? And it says the word was God. The word was God, right? So the greater your connection that you have, the greater the connection of the sound with God, the greater is its spiritual potency. Keep this in mind, this is very, very important. The greater the connection of the sound that is being made, the greater the connection that sound has with God, the greater will be its spiritual potency. The greater is the effect it will have on you. And what is the one which has the greatest connection with the Lord? So everything is connected with the Lord, right? So he has his internal energy, he has his external energy. So you can dabble with the external energy. Is it connected with the Lord? Yes. How much? Not much. But internal energies, Radha Rani, more connected with God. And then the most powerful spiritual sound is the name of the Lord. How much more can it be? How much more can you be connected with somebody than being the name of that person, right? Right? For example, if I say Suyash, right? Here, right now, Suyash is the one who's going to get most alert, right? Because I'm calling out his name. So the name of the Lord is the highest spiritual sound that you can make, right? And so it is the spiritual sound. We were talking about that, whether I should do silence or whether I should listen. So what are you going to listen, right? And so we said, okay, maybe silence is for individuals, and speaking is for social good, community good. I have a dream. Or Subhash Chandra Bose said, give me your blood, I will give you freedom. So talking to the general masses, so maybe on the material world, that makes sense. But the spiritual sound is the one that combines both of them together. And so spiritual sound is one vehicle that is good for both the individuals as well as for social transformations. And that's why we sit down and do the japa, which is a very personal thing you do for your own transformation. And then we go and do kirtan, and which is for the transformation of the whole society as a whole, right? So we have to remember that Speech, they say, is silver, and then silence is gold. But preaching the spiritual knowledge is actually diamond, like that. So now that Arjuna has felt silent, it's okay, because now he's going to hear some spiritual word, right? And bingo, Krishna will go into it. Some talk of the soul as amazing, Natve Jatu Nasham, he's saying that, you will not be killed, soul is not to be destructed, you cannot moisten it, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So all that will come there in the words to come. Okay, so I have to leave now and go to my class, and I'll take one quick reflection. I think Vaishana Mataji say something.
Hare Krishna Mataji, you said that silence is austerity of mind. Silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization. Mataji, when we come to say that self-realization, when we sit down, what are we looking for? Looking for the Lord?
Yeah. Before you can look for the Lord, you have to first realize that you are a spiritual being. And who is that spiritual being? Remember, we had done an exercise, and I had said that you close your mind and look at the apple, or somebody had a mango in their hand. Manasi had a mango in her hand, and said, okay, everybody close your eyes and look at the mango. And you were able to look at the mango because the mango was on the screen of your mind. And then in a prior exercise to that, I had said, when you're looking at things in your mind, then can you see, look at the one who's looking at it. You close your eyes and, think of somebody, think of maybe the pen that you have in your hand, and then now try to see who's the person who's looking at that pen. And the moment you try to, look at the person who's looking at the pen, you kind of internally, you detract, you push back. Why? Because you are the seer. You are the seer. And when the mind becomes very, very clean from all the dust and the dirt, then on the mirror of your mind, yourself gets reflected. You will see yourself in the mirror of your mind. You'll see your soul there. And then after that, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati na Kanchati. So after you are, once you realize that you are the soul, you have to now, look at the God. You have to do the devotional service to the Lord, and also find your Sambandha Gyan. You have to understand what is your relationship with the Supreme, right? So it's not that you will, but then, it's a combined approach. So you will sit down, you'll start doing bhakti to the Lord, and doing bhakti to the Lord will purify you. And because of bhakti to the Lord being purified, you will realize that you are the soul. So it's kind of like, all in a circular thing like that. So even if you sit down and think at Krishna, he's a antiseptic and prophylactic. He'll cleanse everything which is in the mind. He antiseptic, that infection is already there. He will remove it. Prophylactic, he will also remove any infections that you can possibly get later, and strengthen you with that, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I'll be happy to take more questions tomorrow, but I need to leave for my class. I had taken permission only to be late by a little bit. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on the WhatsApp. Spiritual Sound has great spiritual potency, is what Vidya Vadhu Mataji says, and thank you so much for that. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha gopremanande hari hari bol. All right, unmute yourself and give me a Sunday style hari bol.
Hari
Hari
Hari bol.
Bol.
Oh, I like it. Yes. Okay.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Enjoy and have a very fantastic